dear participants, to join us to fill in that survey for us to have better panels in the coming months ahead. Now I would like to leave the floor to our Deputy Chair, Canan ÖZSOY from AmCham, for her to give her remarks. Canan Hanım, floor is yours.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Aslı. Hello, everyone. I would like to welcome all participants who give us their valuable time this afternoon, and a warm welcome to our dear panelists, starting from Mr. Minister, Mr. ERDEM, who joins us from the Presidential Investment Office, my co-members of the AmCham board, and dear panel guests. So on behalf of Board of Directors of AmCham Turkey, I would like to welcome you to our first Global Value Chain talk, focusing on investment perspective. This will be the first of a series of 4 consecutive webinars, and we wanted to start analyzing the global value chain opportunity for Turkish SMEs from the point of view of investments. We are organizing these events jointly with the Presidential Investment Office and in close cooperation with US Chamber of Commerce. I would like to start with a brief overview of AmCham in Turkey for those of you who may not be as familiar with our work. AmCham Turkey represents over 110 US companies operating in Turkey, with over $50 billion of investment and over 100,000 employees. Our main goal is to be the power that carries Turkey to global markets, supported by our 3 key strengths: our contribution to investments, employment, and exports, connecting local business partners with global value chains, and leading in development of world-class talent, sustainability, and diversity inclusion programs. In line with our key strengths, we set 5 priorities to ourselves for the year 2021. We kept our first 3 priorities the same as was the case in year 2020, and we revamped the rest of our priorities, addressing global challenges, including climate change, sustainability, diversity, and inclusion. So, the short list of 5 priorities is as follows: protecting and driving US investments and trade in Turkey, promoting Turkey and Istanbul as a regional hub, pursuing greater participation in global value chains for our partner Turkish SMEs, pioneering the development of world-class talent, diversity and inclusion programs in Turkey, and providing active support to Turkey's integration to global climate change and sustainability programs. As you all know, global supply chains have been undergoing a profound transformation during COVID-19 pandemic, even though that transformation started a little bit before COVID, sort of like, trade challenges between countries, wars being enacted. But with COVID-19, that became very apparent, very tangible. Multinational companies have been looking for alternative places to relocate their overseas production activities and secure their supplier bases, nearshoring, and sometimes onshoring activities. Since they are facing with disrupted and shortened supply chains, they are in search of closeness to sources and destination markets. Turkey stands out as an attractive location for the US companies to diversify and secure their supply chain networks. Turkey has high manufacturing capabilities, skilled and cost-competitive labor force, and a sticky talent, and proximity to EU as well as MENA markets and international free trade, access to international free trade networks. As you all know, we've experienced a vital blockage of maritime commercial traffic in the recent weeks. The Ever Given, a 1,300-foot Japanese-owned container ship en route from China to Europe, got stuck in the Suez Canal for a week. Suez Canal is a vital international shipping passage, one of those that we call a choking point, and it is believed to handle about 10% of the global maritime commercial traffic. By the morning of March 29, after a week of blocking in the Suez Canal, 367 other vessels were waiting to pass through the canal. The ramifications of the blockage in the canal have been huge. Shipping analysts estimate that the traffic jam held up nearly $10 billion worth of trade every day that the canal stayed closed to traffic. This unlucky event showed us again the importance of nearshoring and the importance of Turkey as the closest and most accessible import market for EU. We believe that agile and robust investment incentives, readily accessible, plug and play, will be provided by the Turkish government will be very useful, essential for attracting more foreign investment, which are trying to diversify and secure their supply chain networks. One example I can give is from my own company, GE. We have been parallel to Turkey's vision of growth in renewable energy and their 10-year plan of localization that gives investors boosters, incentives to localize. We've been investing together with Turkish SMEs to manufacture blades, steel towers, connection parts, as well as the generator of the wind turbine. As a result, we have become one of the biggest localized manufacturers of wind technology. We have developed multiple partnerships, and the SMEs we are working with for the Turkish market are all now exporting to other countries where GE has other investments in different wind farms. So that has been a very successful experience. We've done this in aviation, we have done this in healthcare, and now I am very proud to work with AmCham to make this a bigger initiative and to make more Turkish SMEs play in the global supply chain market. In line with our priority of pursuing greater participation in global value chains for our partner Turkish SMEs, we have organized jointly with the Presidential Investment Office and Citibank Turkey an initial event titled Rethinking Global Value Chains, Turkey and the US on November 30, 2020. As a follow-up to this event, we are going to organize, as I said in the beginning, 4 consecutive webinars. One is this one, investment perspective. The other will be regional commercial relations. The third will be regional trade relations, especially a special session on Green Deal. And the fourth and the last panel will be on tax mechanism that will support this growth. In our first panel, Global Value Chain Talks Investment Perspective, we will focus on current investors as well as how to attract new investments. The panel session intends to provide information on the agile and practical incentive mechanisms for new or additional investments and best practices from existing investors, which are also underlined in the recently announced economic platform package. Thank you for listening to me. Now I would like to leave the floor to Mr. Ahmet İhsan ERDEM, Vice President of the Presidential Investment Office.
Thank you, Canan, for this excellent and insightful introduction. As always, I must say. Mr. Deputy Minister of Industry and Technology, distinguished participants from US and Turkey, I would like to welcome you all on behalf of the Investment Office and thank you for your participation. And let me also extend my appreciation to our valuable partners, AmCham, Turkey, for co-organizing these series of webinars, as well as the US-Turkey Business Council for their important support. I would like to also thank our panelists for joining us. Their insights and experiences have been guidance for us in showing the way forward during these challenging times. This is certainly a difficult time for everyone. The pandemic has brought new challenges, but also it has been a canary in the coal mine for exposing the weak links in the global economy and public health. As such, the COVID-19 has revealed a drastic shift in global value chains, which have been undergoing a profound transformation long before the pandemic and spread all around the world. The pre-pandemic megatrends, such as digitalization of supply chains and automation, artificial intelligence, additive manufacturing, as well as increasing tendency towards protectionist policies and sustainability imperative, had already triggered a transformation within the global value chains. This transformation has gained momentum with the supply and demand shocks that occurred during the pandemic. For a long time, companies have been in search of increasing efficiency by investing in key locations, reducing inventories, and sourcing or manufacturing with the economies of scale at the expense of resilience. With the technological change, policy governance, increasing consumer preferences on sustainability, and stakeholder capitalism, some of the global companies have started to reorient their global activities. Nevertheless, many companies, I must say, were not ready for unexpected challenges like the recent pandemic, which revealed the vulnerabilities in the global value chains, especially the fragility of depending on single sourcing. This vulnerability has resurfaced once again in a very recent logistics crisis in the Suez Canal that the container crisis, you will have a perfect storm in the global value chains, global supply chains. Against this backdrop, there are various options for companies to adapt and overcome these challenges. While a limited reshoring is also an option for companies, nearshoring, regionalization, and diversification are the most likely options for companies. I will not elaborate on what companies should do. I will leave it to experts and companies themselves. However, this process has also significant policy implications for governments as well. And our government has been closely following this process from the very beginning. We are working with all relevant stakeholders, of course, including AmCham, to increase Turkey's participation in global value chains. It is vital to prepare Turkey's investment climate to the changing global environment. As you know, to this end, a task force has been established with the participation of relevant ministries, agencies, and private sector representatives. Furthermore, the recent reform package has also included exclusive reform and policy actions to increase Turkey's participation in global value chains. Our focus is now more on developing a stronger domestic industrial clustering to build linkages, resilience, and dynamic productive capacity in line with companies' regionalization and diversification strategies. To this end, the reform package sets specific targets, such as identifying key products for each target country and introducing specific support programs for those products that will enable stronger participation in global value chains, providing additional support for investments focusing on innovative and value-added production in line with our GVC and regional cluster priorities. While exclusive reforms and incentives are essential to strong participation in global value chains, improving overall investment climate is also equally important. This is why the reform package includes elements to further improve Turkey's investment environment. These reforms include enacting a new law for the protection of private sector investments, establishing a new an investment dispute settlement center for state investor disputes, setting up investment coordination units within the ministries in order to support the aftercare and the coordination functions of the investment office, reforming the existing incentive system toward a simplified and customized system which will prevent duplications, and introducing competitive cash support programs similar to the ones offered in peer countries. I believe these reforms will increase predictability, reduce red tape, and offer quick solutions to any issue that might be encountered during the investment process. With that, I would like to end my remarks here. But before that, I would like to highlight that Turkey's strong capabilities in manufacturing, skilled labor force, strategic location, free trade agreements, and developed logistics infrastructure make Turkey an ideal location for global value chain relocations. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Erdem, for your kind remarks. Now, on behalf of AmCham Turkey and our distinguished partners, Investment Office of Presidency and US Chamber, I would like to give the floor to His Excellency, Mr. Çetin Ali Dönmez.
Teşekkür ederim. Thank you for letting me a chance to speak to distinguished participants. Dear representatives of AmCham, dear guests, as the Deputy Minister of Turkey, Minister of Industry and Technology, I would like to express my sincere welcome to all participants of this event. My initial remark will be about the global supply issue. Nearly all of us will probably speak about this, but this is very important. We have all witnessed the importance of supply chain during pandemic. We as Turkey has shown the resilience of our economy with almost no shortage of consumer goods, with almost no shortage of any supply. So Turkey is becoming more important with its trustable industrial culture, entrepreneurs for global companies. What we are actually experiencing is volatility in prices of raw materials, prices of some goods, sometimes shortage of raw materials, shortage of shipment containers, shortage of ships, increase in transportation costs, and some other similar problems in international trade. Pandemic also showed us that one of the most effective means of addressing this crisis is through international collaboration. The previous speakers also mentioned about the Suez Canal traffic, suspension of traffic in Suez Canal. The Ever Given container ship actually showed us the blockage of the canal, showed us the importance of nearshoring, importance of diversification of product bases. Turkey stands out as an attractive location to diversify and secure supply chain networks. So it's very vital at the moment for distance, and distance is very vital. A diversification of product bases are very vital for global companies. No need to say the skilled, hardworking, company loyal labor force, young labor force, increasing the more experienced industrial companies, increasing the more corporate governance principles in our companies, with our advantage of being geographically close to the EU and MENA region, it makes Turkey as a very attractive place at the heart of international free trade networks. With their flexible and dynamic structures, actually we witnessed this in the field as the Minister of Technology. Our SMEs are really very dynamic, really very flexible. They can change their production processes. They can produce some goods that they have not produced up that moment. Turkish SMEs have an important role in Turkish economy and will probably be more important for Europe and USA. We are working closely with SMEs and some also roof organizations to make them more prepared for green transition and digital economy. Our efforts also include easing the financial channels and increasing the amount of financing to Turkish SMEs. This is very important also for global companies. Turkish SMEs, if they can solve the financing issue to a larger extent, it will be for the good of Turkey and for the good of the global economy. Our major public organization in this field is COSGAP, Small and Medium Enterprises Development Organization. The COSGAP is providing support to SMEs. We also, by support, we mean supporting SMEs, existing SMEs, and supporting some newcomers, developing new entrepreneurs. In this regard, we have made an agreement with World Bank, as you have all heard. So we secured a $300 million financing to SMEs, especially the small ones in Turkey being affected by the pandemic. Technological production capacity, corporate governance principles, internationalization, and better financial management, we are increasingly witnessing in our SMEs. Under our ministry, we license organized industrial zones, as you all know, and we provide financial support for enlarging them. We give low-cost, long-term credits to organized industrial zones for infrastructure expenses. So the Ministry of Industry and Technology is the main governmental body to offer great investment incentives for both domestic and foreign investors, either in industrial zones or out of the industrial zones. We also provide some incentives by making large areas of industrial zones as industrial zone. In Turkish, it is different. It is endüstri bölgesi, it is called. Organized industrial zone term is a different term. It means a zone that includes many companies. We sometimes give incentives to single company with a large industrial area. Therefore, we are very, very flexible. I would like to stress this point, especially for foreign investors. We negotiate all investment terms bilaterally with the investors. So Turkey FDI regime, by the way, is based on the principle of equal treatment, and we allow foreign investors to have the same rights and liabilities, responsibilities as local investors. We try to treat them equally. And we have been working to offer a more attractive investment environment for both foreign and domestic investors. But we also want, especially our foreign partners, foreign investors, to pursue more sustainable investments in our country. We are, not so happy with some foreign investors demanding almost everything at the time of investment decision. We should do care the budgetary constraints. So it should be on win-win principle. It should be sustainable and affordable for both sides. Foreign investors approaching us talking about how other competing countries do offer investment incentives and supports are somewhat disturbing for us, because we think that Turkey is a very important partner for the West. So, as I said, for the investments to be sustainable, to be affordable, we would like all our foreign partners, especially partners from EU, partners from USA, to approach Turkey as a strategic partner. So what you want should be really reasonable. We do our best. We just want you to know this. So we are like a European Union member country. We are a strategic partner to USA. So we just kindly want our allies to consider the well-being and prosperity of our nation, of Turkey. So we do our best to facilitate doing business by simplifying all legal procedures and eliminating the administrative and bureaucratic barriers. Sometimes most of the times investors can directly reach even to us, to myself, to other deputy ministers. So we are here to solve your problems. As the Minister of Industrial Technology, you all know we have a very effective and generous incentive system. We do have project-based negotiable investment support, and we do our best to attract investments. As I said, everything is negotiable on our side. So we believe that sooner or later, we will be the investment base of all Europe and USA. We have shown that we are a trustable partner. Some fluctuations may happen in international relations, but I would like to again stress that we don't have any hidden agenda against our Western allies. It is coming from our historical ties. In our private sector oriented model, we always give priority to solve the problems faced by our investors. Renewable energy production technologies, petrochemicals, chemical products, pharmaceuticals, biotechnology, nanotechnology investments in defense systems, aircraft and space technologies, information and telecommunication technologies, and similar ones are some of the investment areas we believe that very attractive for all investors, especially for foreign investors, especially for our Western allies. As foreign investors have the opportunity to benefit from some privilege, foreign investors benefit from the same privileges as domestic investors. So everybody recognizes how strong and well-founded our ties between countries, both Europe and USA. Our partnership is based on common values and interests. We all know that when it is considered as volume of trade, Turkey and US are the most important trade partners of each other. So as you know, 2,000 American companies operate in Turkey. Americans are second FDI investors in terms of value. This is a unique indicator of faith in the powerful industrial infrastructure of Turkey. So I will try to keep my speech short. So Turkey's effective investment environment and strong cooperation altogether will increase the investments even more. As I conclude my remarks, I believe that we should act in line with the spirit of alliance and create a more collaborative environment more than ever. All sorts of investment incentives promoting investments would find their way to Turkey's and global welfare. I wish everyone health and hope to host you in my ministry in future. Thank you very much.
Thank you, Mr. Minister, for your kind remarks. It's really important to listen your thoughts and your insights since you're the coordinating Deputy Minister in charge of the investment environment. Thank you once more for joining us today, and we'll sure to visit you when things are back to normal. Now, I would like to give the floor to our co-moderators, Didem Eryar and Hakan Güldağ. As we are supporting diversity within AmCham, we have co-moderators. Both Didem and Hakan will be joining us today. Thank you.
Thank you, Aslı Hanım. Thank you so much. First, I would like to say hello to all our speakers, panelists from Invest in Turkey and AmCham Turkey, and of course to all participants. It's an honor for us to take a part in this event, which I am sure will be very useful. We will try to moderate, as you said, the first panel of global value chain with Didem Eryar Ünlü today. In fact, I am the co-moderator of this panel. Therefore, please let me pass the floor, I mean the screen and the microphone, to Didem for the panel. Thank you so much.
Thank you, Hakan Bey. And I would like to thank all the speakers for their inspiring and informing speeches that will lead the way to introduce new ways of integrating local business into global value chains, because we know that we need a very well organized cooperation from all stakeholders, private, public, and NGOs, in order to find new ways in this new area. As you know, COVID-19 has introduced an unprecedented stress to global supply chains, because it revealed the weaknesses of the global manufacturing system. And we should consider this pandemic, I think, as a wake-up call to consider the actions that we have to take in order to improve the resilience and the flexibility of the supply chains for the future shocks that we can know from now on. So during this panel, we will be trying to, we would like to hear about the comments, the measures of all the companies to these new problems. But first of all, I would like to say that the panel is organized by AmCham Turkey Investment Office in cooperation with the US Chamber. And we thank the US Chamber for sharing this panel in US. So first of all, I would like to introduce the very valued panelists of our panel. İhsan Karagöz, Mondelez International Turkey Managing Director. Dave Johnston, Deputy General Manager for Otosan. Serdar Alemdar, CEO, ODTÜ Teknokent. And Alvaro Ortiz, Head of Big Data Research at BBVA Research Guarantee, BBVA. So I would like to introduce my first question to Mr. İhsan Karagöz. So during this disruption of global supply chains in 2020, we see that Mondelez International has a very successful year and has reached record numbers in terms of exports in 7 different countries. So according to you, what are the major advantages of Turkish market that permitted Mondelez to have a resilient and flexible supply chain during these difficult times.
Teşekkürler Didem Hanım. Thank you for the question. Well, I mean, Mondelez International consists of $27 billion net revenue around the world, and with the market capitalization of $84 billion. So in this huge network, Turkey has played a key role in 2020. We have a big base here in Turkey, in Istanbul actually, and we do have one of the biggest gum and candy manufacturing facilities of Mondelez International, of which we are proud of. And this facility has been exporting to many countries, of which predominantly coming from the Western world. So our number one export market is United States. Number two is, with the last year's number, it's Switzerland, but time to time it becomes UK, and so on with all European, predominantly European markets. We have more than 1,200 employees working in Turkey. And as you have said, in total, we are exporting more than 50 countries from Turkey base. So that's an important manufacturing facility. And why is it that big in Mondelez? Thanks to our infrastructure as Mondelez Turkey, infrastructure as Turkey in general, with the integration of the other countries all around the world. As I always say in those type of panels and seminars, the biggest benefit of having a multinationals operating in the markets, in emerging markets especially, that those companies make the country as a part of the global network of this company. So as Turkey becoming an important manufacturing facility in Turkey, and with the location, strategic location of Turkey being near to EU, not only physically, also with the all economic ties with EU, and also having good relations with the other countries, that makes us more agile on responding the changing demands all around the world. Moreover, as being an American company, as the US economy is in a positive mood nowadays, with the increasing markets and the demand, so Turkey, as being the main supplier of Mondelez for US too, has had the chance of further expanding its export predominantly to the US as well as to the other countries. So we have a good background of the talents, starting from the blue-collar workers up to management level, spread around the Mondelez network all around the world, by the way, having factory managers in Australia, having the commercial manager in Singapore, having the marketing director in Switzerland, all around the world, like many of other multinationals, and also having a good cost structure of the Turkish manufacturing system of Mondelez brought us the new opportunities. On top of this, the company has decided 3 years ago to make Turkey as a hub of the export businesses in the surrounding countries. That gave us the further flexibility and the economy of scale of making Turkey one of the most important production facilities of Mondelez, which enabled us to further grow in the respective countries. So as a consequence of this, we have had the investment decision made for further capacity expansion in Turkey facilities, Thanks to investment office, they were from the beginning behind our project, supporting us with every possible way of making this investment happen. And fortunately, we are very close to come to the final stage of this investment to run it within the year to further increase our opportunities to export from Turkey to predominantly to Russia, to United States, by the way.
Yes, as you mentioned, Turkey has the potential to give the company the agility, to have the agility that it needs to survive the recent situations. So according your projects and plans for the next year, it will be in the second round I will ask about you. So my second question will go to Mr. Johnson. Last year, Ford Otosan stated that Ford of Europe established Turkey purchasing office in Turkey and will provide parts and components for other Ford manufacturing plants sourced from Turkish suppliers. So COVID-19 was a major blow for the automotive industry globally. And what were the major difficulties and advantages of operating in Turkey?
Thank you, Didem Hanım, and pleasure to join you all today. Maybe if I start by suggesting how do we feel about operating in Turkey. Ford's relationship with holding goes back nearly 100 years when VW Koç became the first companies back in 1928. And although that's going back almost 100 years, Koç Holding then gained the right to set up an assembly factory for the first time in Ford's history. So as the Deputy Minister mentioned, the degree of sustainability and long-term investment has been there for a long time. And then produced Turkey's first local automobile and commercial vehicles. And in the 1980s, we opened Eskişehir's İnönü plant. But we moved our truck production to the plant at the same time. We also started to manufacture. In 1997 really was the key milestone for both Ford and for Turkey's automotive industry as well. And that was the year when Ford and Koç equalized their shares and Otosan became Ford Otosan. And just maybe a couple of numbers to explain how that has happened and the change that we've seen since then. Back in 1997, Ford Otosan exported 667 vehicles. We know the exact number. In 2019, we increased that to 334,000 vehicles. And that's really shown how Ford Otosan in the export champion now for Turkey for 6 years in a row. The production capacity back in 1997 was 47,000, and now that's up at 455,000. And from relatively humble beginnings of 3,400 employees, now we number more than 12,000 employees. So we can summarize our JV in Turkey as a win-win-win. A win for Ford, a win for Ford Otosan, and definitely a win for Turkey. Ford Otosan is the commercial vehicle manufacturing hub for Ford of Europe. And we've been Europe's top-selling commercial vehicle brand for the last 6 years and continue to lead the market in the first few months this year. But it's not only low cost that makes Turkey attractive for foreign investors like us. We've got a world-class executive team, a very highly skilled labor force, and a very competitive supply chain in the industry. In Istanbul, in Sancaktepe, we've got Turkey's largest private sector R&D center. And our engineers and researchers not only serve the vehicles we produce in Turkey, but they also export their skills. And Ford Otosan is Turkey's largest industrial services exporter as well for 4 years in a row, as we look to seek to export the expertise overseas. F-Max truck was designed and developed by our engineers in Sancaktepe. and it received the International Truck of the Year award in 2019. The Ford Custom PHEV plug-in hybrid received the International Van of the Year last year. So that goes to demonstrate the quality and advanced manufacturing skills that exist in Turkey. And in Kocaeli, we're very proud of the fact that our plants there have also been included in the Global Lighthouse Network by the World Economic Forum in its Industry 4.0 studies. From Turkey, we export to 81 different countries across 5 different continents. And we buy parts and components from over 1,000 local and international suppliers. Our purchasing local budget is more than $2.6 billion, and more than half of this amount is sourced from our local supply base. And these parts and components are used in the vehicles we produce in Turkey. But they're also providing parts for the maintenance of our vehicles on the roads across the world. And our parts and components exports reached $300 million in 2019. And clearly, it's needless to say that much of those is coming from the local supply base. Our suppliers are a key part of Ford Otosan's operating model. They're reliable, highly skilled, sustainable, and top quality. They give us the confidence when we undertake ambitious new projects. And as you mentioned in the question, Ford of Europe established a Turkey purchasing office in Turkey in 2019. So that's an incremental $2.9 billion of local purchasing decisions that are made here on behalf of Ford of Europe. And those parts and components are included in the vehicles that we manufacture in Ford's other plants across all of Europe. But we're not done there. We've great ambition to increase Turkey's share across Ford's complete supply chain. So in summary, the advantages of operating in Turkey are very much what the Deputy Minister said and Mr. Ahmet ERDEM said. A skilled, young, energetic and vibrant workforce while still being a low-cost country. A developed supply base, especially on traditional commodities, such as stampings, casting, machining, and plastic body parts, but also moving into new technology parts. Competitive energy costs, an attractive incentive application with significant tax benefits, taking advantage of Turkey's customs union with the EU and free trade agreements, and finally, a significant OEM presence in Turkey that exists for automotive. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you mentioned, world-class executive management, skilled labor force, reliable and competitive supply chain, advanced manufacturing capacity are the major cases that may make Turkey a sustainable and long-term investment place for foreign investors. And at this point, I want to turn to Mr. Alemdar. Yes, Turkey has too many advantages, but in order to be an alternative supply center for different sectors, Turkey needs also new industrial policy based on R&D, innovation, digital technologies, sustainability, as well as new entrepreneurial skills in order to create value. So what are the major risks and opportunities for Turkey in this post-COVID area, let's say?
Thank you very much for giving the floor. It's a pleasure for me to be part of this event with such a distinguished audience. So maybe before starting to answer your question, maybe I can briefly summarize what is ODTÜ Teknokent or Middle East Technical University's Technopark, or in general technology development zones. So we are practically a tax-free region for R&D initiatives, and in general next to the universities. Middle East Technical University is English-speaking American curriculum university established in 1956, and ODTÜ Teknokent is the oldest and one of the largest technology development zones in the country. A technology development zone means facilities for high-tech companies to conduct their R&D initiatives and to commercialize their products or their innovations. Currently, O2 Technocent is hosting 450 technology companies, and 2/3 of these companies are first-time registered in O2 Technocent. So these are the entrepreneurs of today's or the past. So when all started in 2/3 of the companies are started in O2 Technocent. Basically, a technology development zone offers to the companies income tax exemptions for their employees, R&D employees, and their support employees, and also very generous corporate tax exemptions for most of their activities, output of their R&Ds. And in fact, Ford Otosan opened one of their research centers in O2 Technopark during the pandemic in July, and autonomous truck platooning research and development activities are conducted in Technocent, and there are about 20 multinationals. They are conducting some of the R&D initiatives in O2 Technocent. So our role is to encourage entrepreneurial spirit in the university, both for students and the faculties. We are supporting the establishment of around 70 new startups per year in O2 Technocent. And generally, these are maybe half of them is a born global startup. So they start in Turkey because they see that they have an access to talent to a decent cost, and they market their products in global markets. So, and also O2 Technocent house about 120 companies working on the defense industry, defense, aviation, and the space industries. Obviously, these are they are working on the edge of the technology, and we see some spillover effects from defense industry, like gaming industry. A group of people working on the simulators for defense industry evolved towards a gaming cluster. Now we are housing 40 companies in animation technologies and gaming industries. And to answer to your question, what are the risks and opportunities in the post-COVID area? Obviously, a technology development zone is the output of a technology development zone are not generally the physical products. So the only trucks that come in and out to our zone is furniture trucks. So generally, our goods are softwares and very low volume, high value products. And we see the positive effect of the COVID for most of our startups. So we see strong growth in the business, in the gaming, in the online learning industries, and the software as a service companies. On the other hand, defense industries played another significant role. The capacity built for defense industry is easily adapted to develop solutions for medical needs. So currently in O2 Technocent, several groups are working on COVID-related research, so vaccine and also some ventilation units, etc. So this shows also a good flexibility of our entrepreneurs. So when there is an immediate need, they immediately switch to what is required. Another area that we see both an opportunity and risk is the fluidity of the human resources. So COVID makes all of us to work remotely, and this poses a fluidity of the key R&D people, so they can work remotely for multinational companies or for international companies from Ankara. So this creates some shortage of talent for most of our companies. But on the other hand, it brings an opportunity as well. So our startups now try to find sourcing their key R&D employees from abroad. So remote working allows us in that terms as well. I think in general, the one of the main trends, it was before the COVID, but also we see during the COVID phase, is the importance of local sourcing. So we discovered that we in Turkey in general, and in ODTÜ TechnoKent particularly, we realized the value of the infrastructure created over the years in terms of R&D research capabilities. So I think this brings us some awareness to go further. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, technology will be the major driving force during these days, and co-creation will be very important between different sectors in order to create sustainable solutions. So now I will be asking Mr. Ortiz about this big and unexpected changes and problems that are surrounding us in business, in everyday life. So in order to respond to the problems of tomorrow, we need visibility in the supply chain. In order to make decisions, we need visibility. So, but it is the most difficult things today. So what's the role of big data today in assessing the financial risks, all kind of risks today?
Okay, first of all, thank you for the invitation. I'm working for the BBVA, which is a Spanish bank, who took 3 important decisions during the last 10 years. The first one was to establish in Turkey 6 or 7 years ago. The second is to bet very strong on digital transformation, and this is why I'm working on big data inside as head of the economic analysis department. And the third is this climate change. Both are related, the digital transformation and climate change. Let me explain how we took this challenge with my team in Turkey, by the way. That is another demonstration that Turkey has an important high-skilled labor force. I will show you some of the presentations, so to show some of the image of what we do. We think, what is the role of big data in the economic analysis in the future? First, although I am an economist, let me introduce that all models are wrong, but some of them are useful. So it is impossible to fully forecast the future with models, because models are just an abstraction of the reality. They don't reflect the complete reality. Economy as life, it is exposed to shocks. But I think that good data, it is a good asset, especially in emerging markets, for a couple of reasons. The first is this traditional statistical lags by agencies, by the statistical agencies. The highest frequency indicator in Turkey is the most common, it is industrial production, and we are now working with the data for January, right? And the second, it is polarization, which is not exclusive of Turkey. We live in the US, in my country, so we are economists in the media, and we have good data we need good data to make a good assessment. So this is why we decided to do it. Time horizon also, it is very important. What we do with big data is basically to assess what is happening now in this moment, that relative to the statistical agencies, maybe it is 2 months ahead, right? And this is not affected by uncertainty. This is what's happening now. More difficult is to medium to long run model, because this will depend on global conditions like the COVID, political decision, geopolitical issues, and also policy decisions. So what we do is basically to apply big data to assess economic information in real time high definition, okay? So here you can see what happened since the COVID. This is a very unusual year. Although I know that people is reading about Turkey, about financial volatility, during these days, what is really happening is a sharp increase. Why? Because we measure economic activity year over year. What you can see, it is our big indexes. This is until the end of March. So this is data are for last week. This is here the COVID crisis on consumption. I won't be surprised you if I tell you that service goods are the most affected by mobility, but when you compare with the last year, they jumped recently. Why? Because we matched the COVID last year period. And as a consequence, consumption, it is growing very, very fast. The second thing that I can tell you is that investment in machinery, for example, was very resilient in this crisis. I will show you later in the high definition map. And investment continued to be very, very strong, and it has been less affected by the COVID. It was the global value chain crisis lasted at least 2 or 3 months only, and since then, at least machinery investment has maintained on upward trend, and it is what is really you feel in the latest publication. If you see the data card sales from the 2 days ago, it jumped more than 100%, and this is what will be assisting in the next 2 months. So what we do with this data, it is we mix with some of our models, and we introduce in our model what we call no casting model, because what we are measuring is how the GDP it is evolving in March, for example. Okay. By the way, we are not the only one on the right that we are doing this. The central bank, for example, has decided to implement a similar methodology. So what we observe now, it is the growth, it is about 6%, 5.5% at this moment. The central bank is a little bit more optimistic. But we not only know that, but we know that given the base effect, we will jump to 15-20% in the second quarter. So independently of the newspaper you read, independently of what you think or what you wish, what I can tell you it is that growth will jump to 15-20% area. And what does it mean? Does it mean that the economy during the first half of the year will grow around 10%, right? On average. Even with the sharp deceleration, a contraction that leads the economy to 0 in the second half, you take the average 10 plus 0 divided by 2, this is around 5%. So, and this is just because this is a very strange year, and this is the post-COVID year. So 2022 will depend on the policy decision, but I can tell you that growth will be very high this year. But we decided not only to use the economics, the big data to apply in real time tests, but also we decided that it could be very useful to use the high definition component. And this proved to be very, very important for us into following the GVCs. Here you can see, for example, the total investment by region in Turkey, machinery, which is the sum of machinery investment, basically, and construction investment. And this is pre-COVID, the COVID impact recovery, and this is February, which is 1 month ago. Okay, the economy was recovering from the 2018 crisis investment, and then was the COVID impact. As you can see, it was very hard for those who work in metals, textiles, and were affected and were included in the main global value chains. Construction continued to suffering during the scares of the 2018 crisis. But what we observed is that the recovery was very, very rapidly. And in the second half of the 2020, once the main lines of these global value chains were restored, the economy recovered very rapidly. What does it mean? So last year was very different to the crisis 2018 crisis, which was a local crisis, a local financial crisis. This is more due to the external side of the story, to very special circumstances related to COVID, and what we observed for this year, it is a very rapid recovery. We are taking this approach for every indicator. We know, for example, and I can tell you, I don't have graphs here, but export is growing very, very fast. And the main reason is because Europe, it is recovering, Europe manufacturing, it is recovering very, very fast. And this will be also support. We will have to wait what happens in the second part of the year, which will depend on policy decision and also on what will happen with the tourist center. But I think that 21 will be a very good year. It will be maybe the perfect year to put the house in order, if let me ask, to make this growth sustainable. We will continue to apply this to other parts of also for regional indexes and so on, but I think this gave us a good advantage during the last year, especially during the COVID, the use of big data. Thank you.
So thank you very much. Yes, in a time where everything is interconnected, good data is a very good asset because it provides real-time information and high-definition information, as you mentioned. Thank you very much. Mr. Karagöz, in the second round, you mentioned that Turkey has many advantages for a multinational company to be agile. So what are your projects for this year, next year, your plan, your projects to make your supply chain more flexible, more adaptive, more interconnected, more digital, more resilient for the coming days?
Okay, thank you again. Invest more, integrate more. I would say this actually very, in short summary, because now we have a big base, gives us the opportunity to make it even bigger. As I stated, we have done $50 million of the investments within the last 1.5 years. This investment was not for the purpose of making a supply to Turkey. This investment was purely for the US market, because the economy was doing good in US, because the demand was higher, because the company wanted to have more supply opportunities. So, and because the factory in Turkey was doing a state-of-art production, and so the company decided to invest to Turkey to make another $20 million worth of export to United States, which means doubling the existing export from Turkey to United States through the Mondelez network. That serves multiple purposes from the Turkish economy standpoint. First, it gives us opportunity to double our export to United States, which is serving to the ultimate goal of reaching $1 billion of the trade volume between Turkey and US. Second, bringing the foreign direct investment to Turkey up to $50 billion with the new machinery investments, as well as bringing around 122 new opportunities for the new employees in Turkey. So that makes the muscles of the Mondelez Turkey even stronger, even bigger. Moreover, we need to be more resilient in the new era. So, I mean, if you look at our business, we basically manufacture gum and candy, and in a Turkish way, sakız üretiyoruz. So it is pretty simple. but it might be as sophisticated as we integrate 11 different technologies in the manufacturing facilities of Turkey, making it one of the best ones in the Mondelez world. By doing so, we have the biggest agility in the Mondelez network in terms of producing the gum. However, we need to make our sales muscles as strong as our manufacturing muscles too. So what are we doing in there is also, I think, a state-of-art technology. We have, for instance, invested into a technology called RoboCoach, which is a sales tool, which enables us to direct and control every salesman in the field by using GPS system, and basically giving the order to the sales rep and continuing, the tracking the situation of the order through the different tools, making sure that every sales person in the field is being controlled by artificial intelligence. The dynamic algorithm develops all those commands to the sales people, making sure that they have the highest return on visit in the total sales routes in Turkey. We have the total of 460 salesmen in the field every day, visiting stores at least twice a month. Through the RoboCoach system, they maximize the sales figure and also the supply to the sales points by considering the regional demand profiles of the consumers in respective neighborhoods, by taking into consideration all the historical sales data that we have, as well as tracking the freshness of the product on shelf, which has been supplied before, so that taking the necessary actions to make it even fresher. To do this, we also invest into the route efficiency through the GeoVision system, dividing the entire country to different slices to enable to make a better profile analysis of the retailers, so that making the route efficiency maximum, so that the RoboCoach efficiency maximum. That's in a very small snapshot of how we are digitalizing all our very traditional business of selling gum in a very sophisticated way to bring further efficiencies in our day-to-day operation. However, we have in general the growth mindset in our total organization. So basically, our agenda is not to save, not to bring the efficiencies, to make more profit, to make more bottom line. So our all aim is to further create funds to fuel our business, to make Mondelez even bigger in Turkey, in the respective geography. So, well, we've been working from home for 1 year. Apart from manufacturing, logistics, and salespeople, I think we will continue doing so for another at least couple of months, it seems like. But for sure that we will be looking for the further opportunities to bring digital into our day-to-day life, even when selling gum in Turkey. So we will continue investments. There are new investments coming down the road. So fortunately, we come to the more or less the end of the investment of the $50 million. So fortunately, we will be doing the inauguration in a near future after this. So we will try to attract more investments from other regions of the Middle East to make it to Turkey. Thank you.
Thank you very much. Yes, as you mentioned, you produce yam, but you produce also value for Turkish economy, for labor force. You bring new ways of doing business. Thank you very much. So, Mr. Johnson, I will ask the same question to you too, because we know that the supply chain has become a prime driver of the business. So, what are your plans and projects in Turkey to make your supply chain more flexible, more interconnected, more digitalized? Thank you.
Thank you. And as you know, the automotive industry now is currently on the cusp of the biggest transformation. And across Ford, we've promised that the entire commercial vehicle range will be electrified by 2024. Last month in Ankara, we actually announced a major commitment for the future of commercial vehicles that we provide to our customers. As part of that announcement, we confirmed that by 2030, 2/3 of our commercial vehicles are going to be either plug-in hybrid or all electric. And that investment anchors commercial vehicle next generation electrification manufacturing within Turkey. That $2.4 billion announcement last month builds on a $4.4 cumulative billion already announced between 1998 and 2019. And that's not only going to contribute to Turkey's economy R&D system, but also across Ford's entire electrification system in Europe. Within Ford Otosan, we'll be the first OEM in Turkey to produce electric vehicles in volume. The new range is going to include all electric models, a plug-in hybrid, a mild hybrid, and as well as conventional options. We're also very honored to be entrusted to be able to build Volkswagen's 1-ton commercial vehicle as well as part of Ford's global alliance. That increased capacity, the volume, the value of all of our procurement from more than 200. And as part of that, we're anticipating an extra 15,000 jobs the investment that we've just additionally, we're working with the President's Investment Office to convince suppliers to continue to invest in Turkey. And back in 2018 and also in 2019, we invited our suppliers to Kocaeli. How the President's Investment Office explained to them the advantages of investing in Turkey. In terms of digitization, where the supply chain is benefiting from blockchain technologies, our existing suppliers, we're working together with them on many different projects, the next generation of vehicles that we have. And in Ford Otosan, we're an official partner of the Supplier Development Program. It's financed by the World Bank and implemented by the Ministry of Industry and Technology. So we've got a substantial program that's aiming to prepare Turkish suppliers for the global challenges of the future. As you know, and has been referenced already, the automotive sector's got a very complex manufacturing ecosystem. And the vehicles that we finally come off the assembly line, they include thousands of different components. And there's various technical as well as quality standards that need to be applied to. Therefore, the existence of a strong, reliable, sustainable value chain is absolutely a top priority. And as some of my fellow panelists have mentioned, that the COVID-19 pandemic made this even more apparent. And as many of you are aware, the recent semiconductor shortage across the global supply chain in the automotive industry is a significant challenge for all of us. And many OEMs have announced they've had to temporarily stop some manufacturing just purely because of the scarcity of those small chips. Across the Turkish automotive supply industry, we think it's one of Turkey's key muscles, actually, on a national basis to attract more foreign direct investment into Turkey. Turkey's current automotive industry exports amount to around about $30 billion annually, and parts and components constitute almost a third of that number. Within, I guess, parochial talk about Ford Otosan, we're very happy with the suppliers that we have, and we've got incredibly high localization rates across all of our vehicles, demonstrating our commitment to the Turkish supply base. And across our truck business, those localization percentages are up in the 80+% level. And we've got very strong ambition and targets to increase those localization rates further as we co-develop actually the Turkish supply base. The automotive sector right now, as I mentioned, it's really standing on the cusp of its second big transformation process, really since the beginning of the 1900s. We anticipate it changing more in the next 10 years than it probably has in the last 100 years. In the 1900s, the OEMs, which couldn't adopt and didn't adopt to mass production, didn't survive. And we think that the OEMs that will not be able to transform into electrified and autonomous vehicles are at severe risk of having to exit the business over the next 10 years. So how does that impact the supply base? Well, I think it brings huge opportunity across the Turkish industry. All vehicles manufactured in Turkey are going to need cells, batteries, e-motors, etc. And we believe that Turkey needs to step up to the challenge across really the whole spectrum. So we need to see more designed and implementing more competitive incentive schemes to ensure that these kind of new investments are to the fore. The EU, especially following the COVID-19 crisis, started to allocate huge amounts in the advent of the EU Green Deal from its budget to support green investments, and we understand the importance of sustainability. 25% of EU spending within a $1.1 budget, $1.1 billion budget is going to be dedicated towards climate policy. And you'll see that coming through in some of the speeches and announcements coming from Frans Timmermans. The EV electrical charging system is also really important, and make sure we've got charging points across the countries, and the importance of clean fleet renewals as well as sustainable transport infrastructure. And we think there's big opportunity across the whole supply chain, from the green transformation, including battery industry and the related supply chains and recycling structures. So as part of that, I think it's really important that we continue to attract the investment across Turkey. Transforming our next generation electrified and autonomous vehicles is not only kind of an immediate imperative, but it's also going to demonstrate the future imperative and future competitiveness of the industry. But it's not all we're doing. I mean, I guess across Otosan as well, Ford Otosan, we're looking to provide innovation across all of our automotive products and services that benefit society. We know to do so, there's going to be new challenges that emerge. We've already talked significantly about agile, and that agile transformation journey is something that we're embarking on right now, really to put customers at the center in line with our mantra of every day ensuring that we treat our customers like family. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you say, the electrification, digitalization of supply chains, blockchain technologies and sustainability measures, all this Green Deal, green fuels, all this transformation will bring a big shift in the ways of production, and they will also introduce new opportunities in terms of investment and employment. At this point, I will turn to Mr. Alemdar. And as you mentioned in the first round, that ODTÜ Teknokent aims to contribute to technology-based entrepreneurship. and the digitalization, the transformation of the industry. So you have ODTÜ Teknokent aims also to have an international impact. This is one of your priorities. So what are your projects in order to contribute to the integration of SMEs to the newly formed global supply chains?
I mean, one of the main trends that we are focused is the increased venture capital activity in the country. So Turkey created 2 unicorns in the last 9 months. And we see a strong VC activity in the ecosystem. So in the 40th day of the year, we already overpassed the venture capital investments of the previous year, which was a record high year, 2020. So as ODTÜ Teknokent, we have a small investment company that we are making some early stage investments to high-tech companies. And also we are LP of two venture capital funds established in Luxembourg and Netherlands, but active in Turkish market. And by 2021, we want to be a general partner in another fund. So we want to raise about $15 million to invest a little bit on the scale-up level companies, startups. So this is our #1 agenda for the year, and also our role is to co-invest with the venture capital funds available and show interest to Turkish market. So our primary role is to develop startups, make them investable for mature investable venture capital funds. Secondly, before COVID, we were running an acceleration program in San Francisco. Unfortunately, last year we couldn't make it. And this makes us some opportunity as well. So we help our startups to join accelerator programs all around the world remotely. So this brings us some more relationships in terms of in all parts of the world, East Coast of US, Western Europe, Eastern Europe, MENA region, and APAC regions. So we want to, and we see clear results for our startups. So we want to expand these relationships, and we want to partner with strong acceleration programs in all around the world to support our startups. And finally, I mean, ODTÜ Teknokent is a small city, so we are hosting every day 10,000 people. So it's a good demonstration area for some high-tech technologies like smart cities and renewable energies, etc. So we want to be a lead user for combination of startups in our small city, tech city, and so that they can improve their solutions. Like some of them are mentioned. I mean, autonomous driving. There are startups working on that, and we build a test hub for them. EV charging stations and smart parking stations, etc. And we are also conducting several renewable energy investments, floating solar panels, etc., in our technology park. Thank you.
Thank you very much. As you mentioned, we have too many problems to solve, and the startups have the flexibility and the creativity to produce new ideas, newer ideas for a better future. So I would like to ask my final question to Mr. Ortiz. So in order to build a resilient and an efficient supply chain, so we have to take into consideration this multiple dimensions that we are talking about, like the climate change, the stability of the markets, the proximity of the suppliers, the labor, infrastructure, all kind of regulations, etc. We have too many dimensions that we have to take into control. So what should be the priorities of Turkey in order to become a value-added supply center?
Thank you, Dylan. As you mentioned, it is a lot of homework to do, but it is not only for Turkey; it is for all of the economies in the world. We are in transition times. I think that Turkey is have some advantages, some improvements to do, and some more urgent things. On the advantages, I think Turkey is a very dynamic and resilient economy. So the average GDP growth since 2005, it is near 6%. And this including three important crises, the global, the local, and the COVID. There is a population island in Europe. I have to remind you that in emerging Europe, also in Western Europe, population will decline. It is already declining and will continue to decline. And this is not the case of Turkey, which is already at 80 million population. So this is continue to be an important issue. There is a lot of attractive from logistics and from the complexity point of view of the economy. Of course, there is things to improve, as in other rest of the countries. I think that, and this is a long-term issue. I'm from Europe, I'm from Spain. We have been talking about structural reforms since I was 15 years old. So, and I'm now much more than this. So this is a question for everybody. But I think enhancing education and productivity will be very important to raising the value-added ladder. I heard some of my colleagues, and I think I agree with them, that Turkey should fully embrace all the two radical disruptions that we are living, which is the first is the digitalization. So I think they have to advance into the cloud computing, blockchain, and so on. And also on the sustainability wave, not only because it is a human responsibility, by the way, but also because you heard that your clients will do it. So if you want to continue to sell products to your clients and they are going to do it, I think this is the right, not only human, but also business direction. On the to-do list, I think that Turkey is a high growth, but it is also a volatile economy. I think that financial volatility it is affecting somehow to the investment climate. At the end of the day, exchange rates are an important ingredient for foreign investors, not only portfolio, but also the FDI investors. They need also predictability, so and stable regulation. I think this is the country have been working, for example, with the people of Invest in Turkey during years and talk with some economic advisors at the presidents. And I think that the country has to enhance, to improve the communication, the image. I think that I've been living in Istanbul for 6 years. And really, it is very difficult for me to explain, to put in value all what the Turkey has when you traveling abroad, just because the media it is like this. And I think that this is something that can be improved because, I mean, the asset, the value is there. So it is only to put in the right message. And I think that one thing that could act as a trigger of this to-do list of financial volatility, predictability, regulation, and improved communication, it is to relaunch the external engagement with the main trading partners, with the US and especially with the EU, to anchor these hub positions. I think that a very good start will be to update the customs union, to see what happened, and to enhance the relations with the US. I think that if we are able to do that, I think it will be much easier to do the rest of the homeworks. This is, but I repeat, as in many countries, everybody has homeworks to do. These are challenging times for everybody, and we have to move rapidly to adapt. And I think the agile nature is in the DNA of the Turkish people, so they are really prepared for embrace challenges. And this is basically my idea on that.
Thank you very much, Mr. Ortiz. Yes, we are living challenging times, and as you say, Turkey has the DNA to survive these challenging times. The country has the potential, but I think we should to define our priorities basing on digitalization, sustainability, new ways of doing business, and go on. As Mr. Alemdar said, Turkey has created 2 unicorns in a few months, so we can do it if we know how to go on. So I will give some closing comments to Mr. Gülda, if you don't have some more things to add.
Thank you so much, Didem. It was a really successful and very useful panel, according to me. I took many notes. I have some questions, but due to time limit, I think we should leave them for another panel. But I am very curious about what our panelists think about this world tendency, about the blocking tendency. It is growing and growing, and it is affecting the world economy and trade. And of course, from the investment perspective, it will also, I think, affect the Turkish side and United States side. But as I said, I think it will be a subject to another panel. Therefore, thank you so much. Thank you to all our panelists, to all our speakers. Everything was very valuable, what they have said. And I also want to thank to our participants who listened up till this time. Thank you all.
Thank you very much, Hakan.
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you.
Bye-bye.
Bye. Bye.
See you in another meeting. Let's say.
Teşekkürler.
Teşekkürler. Thank you. Teşekkürler.
Thank you.